As a result of recent events and subsequent aircraft inspections, it's clear that Boeing has some systemic issues to work out, perhaps with the help and guidance of the Federal Aviation Administration. Within Boeing's facilities, teams of engineers labour away, working not on building new aircraft, but instead on fixing problems with already built inventory. Boeing executives have begun referring to these activities with a common phrase, the shadow factory. In this video, we take a closer look at these so-called shadow factories and what one Boeing executive thinks is the solution to Boeing's quality control problems. Let's get started. These quote-unquote shadow factories exist for both the 787 and the 737 lines, tackling faults found in finished aircraft. These faults have included shimming issues, fuselage problems, improperly drilled holes, and more. In light of Alaska Airlines' January 5th incident, all of these issues have most certainly come to the public's attention. Most alarmingly, it's the aircraft issues that seem to get past Boeing's quality control teams. Here are just a few examples. In early January, both Alaska Airlines and United Airlines revealed that they had discovered several loose bolts which were used to install door plugs on some of the airline's Boeing 737 MAX 9 aircraft.
But I'm disappointed that the manufacturing challenges do keep happening at Boeing. This isn't new. I'm disappointed in that.
In mid-January, we reported that a piece of hardware was found missing on a Boeing 737 MAX aircraft in India during an inspection following Boeing's advisory in December. A washer, which is a plate with a hole in the center used to distribute the load of a threaded fastener, was missing in the rudder control system of a MAX plane. The identity of the airline to which the MAX belongs was never disclosed. In early February, it was revealed by the NTSB that the 737 MAX 9 involved in the January 5th incident didn't have its bolts installed at all.
Follow-up inspections, you guys found loose bolts in many aircraft. The question that I think a lot of people have is, have you expressed that anger directly to Dave Calhoun and Stan Deal at Boeing? Have you said to them, look, guys, this is beyond unacceptable what has happened?
Alaska Airlines received an aircraft off the production line with a faulty door plug, and we're going to hold Boeing accountable for that.
And most recently, the Federal Aviation Administration published a directive ordering Boeing 737 MAX 8, MAX 8-200 and MAX 9 operators to inspect their aircraft for any potential loose bolts in the rudder system. The regulator warned that a missing bolt or a loose bolt that could fall out during flight would result in the loss of rudder control via the rudder pedals, potentially affecting the safety of the flight. From all of these examples, it's evident that mistakes and defects are getting past Boeing's quality control and quality assurance personnel. At least in recent times, the 787 hasn't had anywhere near the same level of negative public attention as the 737 MAX. In fact, the most notable 787 issue of recent times was made public in June 2023 and was picked up before many of the wide-body aircraft were delivered to customers. At that time, Boeing issued a statement saying, "We are inspecting 787s in our inventory for a non-conforming condition related to a fitting on the horizontal stabilizer. Airplanes found to have a non-conforming condition will be reworked prior to ticket and delivery." As NBC noted, earlier in 2023, Boeing had paused deliveries of the planes for several weeks because of a separate problem on a fuselage component on certain 787s. But while the 737 MAX line might take some time before reworks are completed, there's actually a light at the end of the tunnel for the 787 Dreamliner. Boeing's Chief Financial Officer, or CFO, Brian West, believes the company is getting close to a stage where it can close its 787 shadow factory. Such a move would allow the company to redirect that labor to new production and thus benefit of the company. Speaking in mid-February at Cohen Aerospace and Defense Conference, West noted, "We had at the end of last year 50 airplanes that required rework, and those 50 airplanes we expect to move through the rework this year and gives us the ability to shut down that shadow factory." Not every one of those 50 will fly away by the end of the year, But the important point is that the rework will be complete. It allows us to shut down the shadow factory and move the labour from reworking airplanes to working on new production. Having to spend time reworking aircraft that should be leaving the factory for customers is damaging to Boeing's bottom line. Indeed, aircraft often spend longer in the shadow factory than they do on the main production line. Speaking on the recent fourth quarter earnings call, Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun lamented the situation, saying, "In our shadow factories, we put more hours into those airplanes than we do to produce it in the first place. That's a metric I know everybody understands." West supported that idea, adding that, "The way we think about it is that the amount of hours it takes in the shadow factory is pretty much the same, if not a little bit more, than on the production line. That just tells you the opportunity that sits there. We liquidate the inventory, shut down the shadow factories, and then be able to take highly experienced labour and point it toward new production." Currently, production rates are under question, as the FAA has stated that it'll not allow any increase until it is satisfied quality is under control. Around the time this video will publish, the company will be close to the end of a 6-week audit, the outcome of which will determine how the rest of the year shapes up for the manufacturer. Getting to a position where extensive reworking of built aircraft is no longer necessary is absolutely a worthy goal for Boeing. But, as consultant Mark Graben pointed out in a post, closing the shadow factories is the end of the process, not the beginning. You watching this video may have already thought the same thing as others. Doing the work correctly the first time will obviously eliminate the need for shadow factories. To get things right early on, Boeing must overhaul its quality control and production processes first, which would then facilitate the closure of the rework departments. Executives waxing lyrical about closing these facilities before the root cause of the problem is solved seems somewhat premature. Nevertheless, West sees many benefits to repositioning these engineers on production lines in the near future. That, he says, will put the company in a strong position to maintain quality control and to be prepared for the eventual ramp-up of production. "I think that's one of the best gifts we have. We'll be able to have a labour environment that can get the factory stabilised again, and to the point that, when we're allowed to increase our rates, we're ready for it." What do you think of the comments made by Boeing executives regarding the company's shadow factories? Share your thoughts by leaving a comment. Simple Flying publishes over 150 articles every week. If you're looking for the latest aviation news and insights, visit simpleflying.com.